Listen all day, every day on your favorite streaming platform. The clean, fresh sauce. Activated mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so the time here in SVG, it is 9:10, and we are back with you for another commentary segment of our today's Activated Mornings program. So in studio, you have Deanna Cain, Roleza Samuel, and joining us virtually this morning, we have Dr. Gerald Thompson, our Monday morning co-host. Every Monday morning, he's our co-host, our assistant host. Morning, Dr. Thompson.
Our Monday man.
Monday man, you have a Tuesday man? All right. Wait, Dr. Thompson, sorry, I had to go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, wait. Okay, let's see what's up.
Oh, you're right.
All right.
Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay.
Bonjour.
A pleasant good morning to you. I just got in from Barbados. I thought I could have made it down to the studio. And then I said, you know what? I'm probably going to be caught a little in limbo. Let me pull into my office. And I wasn't sure if all the internet was going right and so forth. I had to do a whole set of technical stuff. So it's great to be here. Barbados was great, but it's great to be back in St. Vincent to the Grenadines. Let me tell you that.
I feel like the rate that youth fly out. You know the song, anything me say, Uno say, happy fly out.
No, I don't know that.
You don't know that song?
No,
all right.
No,
I just feel like,
Don't look at that. There was an event over in Barbados. They had me as one of the feature speakers and so forth. So I had to oblige. Yeah, when you get called, you have to
answer
respond.
the call. You have to answer the call. I thought this one your place to God.
As a doctor, that has always been my mantra. As you know, patients call, people call, and so forth. I try my best to respond.
All right. So, other than this session that you attended, how was your weekend?
The weekend was great. Lots of sunshine, a little bit of rain. I've been listening to what's been going on with the soccer. Congratulations to St. Vincent for the win last night. I was hoping to win the first game. And so I've been just tracking a lot of all the political and social developments here in the United States and England, all around the place. You got to stay informed. You got to stay in touch, And
that's the power of technology. Even though you might be wherever you are, you can still keep abreast of what's happening. So it's good. Yes. It's all good. Yeah. It's all good. All right, so we are going to jump into somewhat of a serious topic. It's always nice when we have these topics because Doc, we could get the input of Doc on it. So we are talking about on the topic of address responsible or legally responsible, as well as what other measures can be put in place, right? Now, part of this actually stemmed from something that we read in the news last week, right? So it's saying that in Barbados, they're looking to, so let me read parts of it. I'm not going to read it in full, right? So reading this from Barbados, today, so parental engagement organizations have joined the call for stronger measures to hold parents accountable for their children's actions, as authorities consider legislation could penalize adults for their children's misconduct. As concerns over rising youth crime and school violence continue to mount, the Probation Department is currently reviewing legislation to address parental responsibility, with new provisions recommending that parents be held more accountable for their children's actions, according to outgoing Chief Probation Officer, right? It says, I think based on what is happening, we know that parents are not living up to their responsibilities. Perhaps there's a possibility that you can be charged it may have some effect on how involved they become, the person said, reflecting on the growing concern that the lack of parental involvement in shaping children's behavior. It goes on to say a lot of parents are not living up to their responsibilities. They're expecting school or even the television and social media to raise their children. Now, while Prido's director hopes legislative measures can be avoided, she acknowledged that given the rise in youth violence, all options must be on the table. Right? So to come down, a main concern for parents of consistently delinquent children, especially if they are single or unemployed. This is in relation to, okay. So she expressed concerns about the potential impact on some parents already facing financial challenges. A main concern for parents of consistently delinquent children, especially if they are single or unemployed, may include how often they would be required to pay a penalty for their wayward children or ward. All right. So this is in Barbados. We see that they are considering putting in legislation to penalize parents. More so, it seems like with a fine for the delinquent activities of their children. Now, in Antigua, reading from Antigua's from Loop News, in Antigua of this year, so Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown has laid out the government's plan to tackle the recent surge in gun-related robberies and acts of violence plaguing the nation. All right, so he went on and stated several measures that they were putting in place to help to curb or to correct or to address related robberies and other acts of violence. However, coming down to the end of the article, one of the things that they were stating is that the government also plans to introduce anti-gang and juvenile curfew legislation to curb criminal behavior involving minors and protect them from predators. Additionally, alternative rehabilitation programs will be implemented in penal institutions to reduce recidivism. Emphasizing the need for collaborative approach, Brown called on all stakeholders, including the judiciary and legislature, the community, and the citizens themselves to join the government in this national effort to defeat crime and violence. All right, so they are actually looking to impose a curfew on children. All right, they are looking to impose a curfew on children. Now, interestingly, in the newspaper, I came across another article from the Vincentian. The headline, it was a letter to the editor which spoke about monitoring our students. And one of the things that they were advocating is that students in particular who are seen, let's say, loitering at bus stops or loitering on the streets outside of school hours. Let's say school should start at, what time school start? 8:30, 8:15?
For secondary school, yeah, about 8:15.
Around 8:15. If they're found loitering at the bus stop, that there should be a police officer stationed at the bus stops, especially the bus stops where children are seen, a lot of students are seen frequenting, that police officers should be stationed there to find out why they're there and why they're not going to school, etc. The same should be implemented for students who are seen on the streets after hours. So let's say after 6 and they're seen on the streets without having justifiable reasons for being on the street. So it all comes back to us as a society. In one regard, in Barbados, they're looking at it from a legislative context in Barbados and Antigua. And then here, someone is proposing in SVG, maybe the police can play their part in terms of rounding up persons or rounding up children to ensure that they do what it is that they're supposed to do. So we can have a general discussion on this topic.
I like that idea that the person proposed about the police officers stationed at different places. But I'm also wondering if we would have the manpower to be able to do that. It seems that I really, really would like that idea. I would like to see that. But then I'm also wondering if we, realistically speaking, if our force would be able to do that, because then we'd need quite a bit of extra officers to be at these places. But as it relates to parents being held responsible legally, I honestly I haven't come to a conclusion on how I feel about that. I don't know if I am for or against.
All right, let's take the call. Dr. Thompson, we get you just let's take the call. Hi, caller. Good morning. Hi, caller. Good morning.
Good morning, my sister. Just want to be brief. I just want to give you some stats. So we have a situation where number 4 in the Caribbean for sexual abuse against children. In the Caribbean, number 4, St. Vincent. Number 1, 2011, when we had the stats from United Nations for rape against ladies. Children, 2009, 2013, 1,500 dropouts. And let me say this, it's across the board, secondary school students, primary school students. I spoke, that was up to 2013, a call almost every other month to get updates from 14. We are not getting it. What am I saying here? We are at a very dangerous crossroad. We cannot be compared to Barbados. We cannot. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking real. I'm 63 years old. I'm older than you all. We cannot. We have a situation here where our authorities have abandoned our children. You have a situation where a young child going in a toilet, 3 boys rape her. This ain't no speculation. The matter's in court. Up to now, 2018, the matter has not been. What am I saying? We don't have people with the heart like you. You guys seem to be concerned. You could imagine if I go to, well, of course, everybody know now I mean, not put in no X for nobody anymore. But I need people who are caring. You seem to be caring. A few of the moderators seem to be caring. Do you really care? Or you're just saying so, hoping that you will shield somebody who literally been there for so many years that have destroyed our children, that has put so much pressure on our mothers. Parents went to the ministry, they went to the organization, and they turned them away because they can't help them. They don't care about them. And so don't compare us to Barbados. This only way we are going to see reduction in crime, reduction in the devastation of our young children, is to put people in office that really care about them. I'm not seeing none of them in NDP, ULP, Green Party. Maybe before we had Milton Cater, we had other politicians, we had Annie Eustace and James Mitchell. They had systems in place. The institutions were there. They looked after them. And for example, parents had the support. You didn't have 1,500 dropouts in just a few years. And so no, we don't put pressure on any parents anymore. You know what our leader is doing now? Even encouraging mothers who are struggling, some of them 3, 4, to have more babies. Why would you want to do that? And so
I don't
be
think.
afraid.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Thanks,
do not be
thanks,
afraid to
Hamilton.
say to them, say to him, that Mr. Gonzalez, it's time you pack up your bags.
Okay.
It's time you all pack up your
All right. No, you're gone on the politics road that you said you wasn't going down. And I don't think the PM is encouraging women who already have children to have more children. What he's encouraging is those persons who don't have children to have children. All right. Yes, Dr. Thompson.
Let me say, I think there's merit in all those different articles based on each type of child and each type of situation. What we just heard there was, and you heard from the presentation, was legislation should be brought against parents. And another one, the police is not doing enough to be placed in different locations to protect kids from not getting to school, and to also encouraging them to school by putting in a curfew to insist that they get home by a certain time. In other words, it's the kids. And then someone else just recently, word of God, say it's the government's fault. You know what I mean? Now, Barbados, Antigua, I can tell you a whole ton of places around the world have been exploring those ideas about finding parents and so forth. And I'm not sure that they work. It's a wonderful idea, but we have to find the example of the country where the finding and so works. Now, I know that there are certain places in the world that there's a different type of culture, and that parenting and so forth is very different. It's much more involved. So I do agree that, and maybe we could learn from that. So picking what to do, whether you fine and discipline and maybe even imprison parents, or we curfew kids, or we change a government, whichever of those solutions you may adhere to, then more power to you. But I think it's far more complex than that. Barbados will have to deal with. I just came from Barbados. You know what I mean? So I know the issue they're dealing with, and crime and so forth and other things like that. I think that there has to be a lot more education. Now, the problem is the education you put in place may affect kids who you could prevent from going down that road, but the kids who are already there going into it, how do you turn them back? You know, maybe a little curfew and so forth may well work, but it's much more than a curfew, because they're gonna find a way, take their phone away, so they don't have access to the internet and all that kind of thing. I'm not sure about that too, you know, but all these things may well work in individual situations. So parents, you know, will have to take action somewhere.
All right. Well, from the one coming up from Barbados, they said it's not going to be applied like across the board. It has to be on a case by case basis, right? But when it says that I read it, it reminded me of something that Kojo said. I think it was last week, Monday self, when he said that when him and I had the discussion regarding where would we host children who are not being taken care of by their parents, and he made the point of we allowing parents to get off a little bit too easily. And I could have given into part of that, right? I could have given into that, in that there are many instances where there are some parents who either are ill-equipped to become parents or just don't care, right? Many of them who just don't care, but the child suffers in the end. But what is it that's going to actually motivate some of these persons or encourage some of these persons to actually do what it is that they're supposed to do, right? And I think maybe that this is why Barbados is considering this measure, in that everything, in a sense, should not be left up to the government for government to do or for government to take care of. But how is it that we're going to get parents to actually do the things that they're supposed to be doing in the first instance? So I am in agreement with you, Dr. Thompson, in terms of maybe it needs to be tested. But even in the US, we saw recently of parents who had to stand trial because they had given their child a gun, right? And then he went and he shot up this school. So if you are facilitating something, then you should also be found legally responsible. And in the cases of children, where children are just left to do their own thing, should parents in this regard also be found legally responsible for not doing the things that they're supposed to be doing?
Yeah, so that, like you said, I'm glad, you know, this, like they said, it has to be dealt with on a case by case basis. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't been able to come to a conclusion, because like you mentioned, in the case of that young boy who shot up that school, where the father the father gave him a gun and allowed him to do this and show off in this case, I had no problem with them saying, you know what, you are going to pay, you are going to be held responsible for your son's actions as well. I had no problem with that. But we recognize that we can't do that for every single case, you know. So I'm still there trying to find which side I'm leaning to.
But you see, one of the other things too is that we're always talking about the village no longer exists, right? And if the village no longer exists in terms of aunties, uncles, grandparents, neighbors, if that no longer exists, then how are we going to rein in the children, right? How are we going to get them, let's say, on the straight and narrow, especially if the parents think that they're going to slide or they're going to be given an to get off the track easily. All right. So I think maybe the discussion needs to be had now.
The time is up.
It's 8:30. So at this time, if the representative from courts is listening, Right. We will take a quick break. If the representative from court,
sure.
right, is listening, we would take that call at this time. All right. So courts rep, after the ad, you can call us.
Make home yours every day with Courts. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Ooh, oh, oh. Get value for your money. Ooh, oh, oh. Courts have the best quality. Home is what you make it. Best prices and good credit. Oh. Courts have it all. Oh, yeah.
Courts, make home yours. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so time here is 8:31. So the representative from courts, if you are listening, you can feel free to call us at this time. All right, so just to know that we are standing by to receive a call from courts.
Roleza, hello.
All right, so what we will do is that we will continue our discussion, and if the person calls, then we will take the call at that time. All right, so
Yes.
let's get back into our discussion.
Yes. Yes. I want to turn things upside down a bit. I see Dianna. I see Roleza. And you folks had some bad parenting, and we need to lock your parents up. You folks should have been curfewed. Well, I'm joking what I'm saying. I want to say I know a lot of young people that are going down the straight and narrow, that are excelling, that are doing well. When these things come.
All right, Dr. Thompson, you're breaking up, so you're gonna have to repeat whatever it is you just said. Doc? All right. I think it's more than frozen at this time. All right. So, yeah. All right, Doc, you're going to have to repeat everything that you just said because you froze.
I froze. I was saying that there are so many people that I know that are on the straight and narrow, that are doing well, that have a future, that seem to have bright lights hanging over them. What's the difference? Because we tend to brand everything across the board. Now we thought it should be an individual case. So what is it about those individuals who we are not talking about, that we probably don't talk about enough, that are doing well? As we talk about the bad things, which we should do, but what is it about the good aspects of kids that stand out, that we could utilize and propagate and talk a lot more about and promote to other kids? I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, I heard that. But the thing of it is that, so while this is that we recognize that good is being done, and especially on this program, we would highlight the good that is being done by not only children, but by citizens. Remember, we also had the recent conversation just last week regarding delinquent children who are left on their own, right? The homeless children or children who are just not being properly supervised, etc. So it is stemming from that discussion that we do have a situation, and I think Dianna might be in a better position to speak on it because she was previously involved in the school system, where we do have a situation of children who are not being properly supervised or not properly attended to. So yes, we know that the positives do exist out there, but we also have to recognize that we have a situation where there are children who are being failed on a repeated basis.
Yes, and I think we saying the same thing. So what are we learning from that? What are we learning from those particular positives that can be applied that will show us that we're doing? I would love to hear Dianna. Dianna, from all those positives, is it just that parenting should just do better? Or is it just that the police should escort more? Or we should lock up some parents? I think it's a lot more deeper than that.
Things are always,
that we have to
tend to
learn
always
and
run quite
identify the signals to lead us that way.
At the moment, I cannot come up with something to tell you because I need to sit down and gather my thoughts together properly, and we don't have the time for that. But I would say that it is never just one thing. It's a combination of things. And yes, there may be some things that we can look at, we can take from the positives, but I don't understand how this applies to the conversation we're having now, because this is about parents taking responsibility for, to some extent, the conversation we're having, parents taking accountability for some of the negative things that they've done, their children have done. As it relates to learning from the positive, there are always things we can learn from the positive, right? But I'm still trying to fit it into the discussion. I'll get an answer for you just now. You answer the question, Dr. Thompson. Help me. You give me let me hear your answer.
I think we come up with solutions often, and the solutions seem as if they're going to be the pepper sauce to solve the problem, and they don't turn out to be.
Yes,
solutions have been offered this, and you've hit it, that because it's a mixture, and for each child is a little different. And so I know some parents, some kids from very wealthy families, the Menendez brothers, who people are saying should be released. They went and knocked off their grandparents because they wanted money. You understand? I'm putting it. They were a little older, but there are people from wealthy millionaire families who don't turn out. What is it? Is it that persons who get everything and so forth, or tend to all the love, all the money, all the care and so forth, turn out to be very positive too? No. Persons who come from poverty and so forth, they also get a substantial amount of care. So I think it's a much more complex issue than saying curfew,
which is true, which is why
and change government. I'm not sure. You know?
Well, we didn't introduce the change government part in our discussion, right? But I think, so the thing of it is that I am not necessarily going to knock the idea that Barbados has considered, because there are many times when you have to try something first to see if it's going to work. And if it's a case where in their society, they find that there are lots of parents who actually can do better, right? Who actually can do better and are failing in their responsibilities, then why not try this method? Now, Dianna made mention of not knowing whether or not we have enough police officers who could do something, as was mentioned in the article in the Vincentian. Now, one of the things that Antigua did, and I actually liked the response that the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda did in terms of his response, is that he listed a detailed list of things that he would like to, or they are going to implement, so that they would be able to possibly reduce their crime situation. He said one of the things is hiring an additional 140 police officers and acquiring more gun sniffing dogs to identify illegal firearms entering through their air and seaports. All right. So if we recognize that there is a situation here in SVG where, in this case, maybe we have enough police officers who can be able to, and no, the police officers are not going to be stationed at the bus stops, right? But they can possibly do patrols there whenever, at the times when they know that students should be off to school. So it may not necessarily require additional manpower, but it could be a case where at that point in time, they do their patrols, because we see it all the time. Right? We see it all the time where you have children who are supposed to be in school just liming at the bus stops, right? Who is there to tell them you need to get into this van? If the parent doesn't show up or happen to show up, or some adult doesn't say something to them,
But the
nobody.
thing is, at that point, the parent cannot. They at work.
Correct, but that's the thing. The parent happens to pass across, right? Hi, caller. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. I'm calling from Court Ready Cash.
Okay. Good morning. And how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. We're good.
Oh, lovely. Glad to hear that.
All right.
So, hopefully, the news that I'm about to bring to make it even better.
All right, let's see. I won't know until you tell me.
Well, we are Coach Ready Cash. The best place to comment again when you are checking on a cash loan, any sort of money, big, small, medium, any type of money, right? So, all you need is proof of identification, proof of address, proof of income. Nice, simple, easy as that, right? So, and you can get up to $20,000 cash with a regular cash loan, and up to $27,000 if you're taking out a business loan or microfinance loan. Right? So, up to $20,000 cash and $27,000 if you're taking a business loan. And the best thing about this is no appointments needed, and you get your loan in 24 hours or less. Right? So no appointments, and you can just walk in, get your loan in 24 hours or less. So save the approval, right? And you get in cash or income, depending on the amount you take. So, very nice, very easy. Right? We have a product called a payday loan as well, and that is an interest-free loan. So that is a loan that you can come in and take for up to 3 months. It's up to $1,000 and it is interest-free. So when you come in, if that's not interesting to you, can ask for a payday loan and we'll be able to set you up with that. Same documents required. So proof of identification, proof of address, and proof of income. Right? We have a wonderful promotion being run for the month of October. So one lucky customer who takes out a loan of any amount will get a chance to win a room makeover. Right? So one lucky customer will get a chance to win a room makeover when you take a loan of any amount for the month of October with code Ready Cash. Right? So you could start Christmas early basically, for 6 months when Christmas time comes up.
Okay.
So we got you. Right? So a loan of any amount just for this month only, you can come in and then hopefully you can be the lucky customer to win your room makeover. Right? So we are located opposite the General Post Office in Kingston. Very easy to find, as I said before, you can just walk in for no appointment. But if you want to call before, just make sure that everything is in order, and then so you won't have to be going and coming for anything, then you can call 494-5380. 494-5380. That's the number to call. We are located opposite the General Post Office in Kingston, and our opening hours are Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. Come in, get your loan, and hopefully you can be that one lucky customer to win a room makeover for the promotion that we have running for the month of October.
All right. And the other loans still exist, right? The small business loans, the payday loans, the, It's agricultural loans. Those
Very much so.
Yeah?
Yes, still exist. So you can come in and get your loan for your business. If you're self-employed and you want somebody to, put into the business in any way, whether that be paying employees, buying stock, doing some renovation to the business space, anything you need, you can come in. And then under that, we have agricultural loans for persons, so into farming, fishing, agro-processing. So even though you don't farm and fish, let's say you have your products and you make food, or you make beauty products or natural products, then you qualify as well. You can come in and ask about those as well. You can ask on Miss Williams, and she'll be able to assist with the business of agriculture loan.
Okay. All right. So tell us one more time where the office is located and the hours of operation.
Right. So opposite the General Post Office in Kingston, when you look across, you'll see the sign that says Coach Ready Cash. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So right up at the General Post Office, right before you reach Lady B, for opening hours, 8 a.m. to 4:40 p.m. Monday to Friday. So 8 a.m. to 4:40 p.m. Monday to Friday.
All right. So thank you very much for calling us this morning and giving us that friendly reminder of courts and your services. And hopefully you'll be flooded with persons coming in today. Right?
Of course. Yes, thank you for having me, and you enjoy the rest of your day.
You as well. Thank you. And that was our courts desk for today, Monday, the 14th of October, 2024.
Just for you at Quartz Optical. Get 15% off. When you bring in your prescription from any other eye care provider, we'll give you 15% off the cost of your frames and lenses. So visit us today and get 15% off. Offer valid on cash and credit purchases. Conditions apply. See in-store for details. Quartz Optical. Value you can see.
It all started with a penny. For over 85 years, we have invested in our farmers, fishermen, people, and our country. When we were called to serve, we were here. We understand what is valuable to our people and our country. That is why we support all industries, including tourism. We are the bridge towards a brighter future and economic growth. When our people, government, and businesses called upon us, we were here. 85 years later, First National Bank St. Lucia Limited is here for you.
Alan Smith and Family Bakery, the worldwide name for all your bakery needs, specializing in wedding cakes, birthday cakes, the world famous hard dough and light dough, multi-grain by special order, and now available baguette bread at all your leading supermarket outlets. And for that sweet tooth, currant rolls, jam buns, homemade sweet bread, guava and apple tarts, butter and oatmeal cookies, and for your savory needs, beef and chicken patties. Alan Smith and Family Bakery supplies bread to the Grenadines, Leeward and Windward side of the island. Contact us at Alan Smith Family Bakery at gmail.com. Call us 457-8317, 457-8550, or 533-0943. Located along the main road in Camden Park Industrial Estate, we are the healthy choice. All our products are made with 0 grams trans fat ingredients. Quality is our passion. We open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. Saturdays, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Sundays and public holidays, 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Thank you for your patronage over the years and for your continued support in the years ahead.
Boy, so where you getting crashing on? Your brakes real good, boy.
Now brakes alone good enough. My tires good too.
Tires? Where you get them tires, boy?
Out by Caribbean Tire Plus, man. They out in Addersville. Can't miss it. Look for the orange container on them. Plenty parking space and open 7 days a week all thing, man. Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Sundays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Call them today. Caribbean Tire Plus, 784-432-4786 or email ctiresplus@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Our industry relies on all of us to play our part. We take pride in showcasing our beautiful island, our craft, our cuisine, and our warm Vincentian hospitality.
Each of us play a crucial role in showcasing our vibrant tourism industry. We can create spaces where visitors can unwind, connect with nature, and embrace tranquility of our beautiful surroundings.
We need everyone on board to help us create an exceptional experience for our guests.
Join us at our National Tourism Community Consultations as we shape the future of tourism in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
It's everyone's business, yeah. Love it, embrace it.
Listen all day, every day on your favorite streaming platform. The clean, fresh sound. Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
All right, so we are back for the final 10 minutes with this topic, and we are discussing addressing delinquent children. Should parents be held legally responsible, and other measures that can be put in place to get children to be on the street and the narrow. All right. So before courts called, I was making the point of responding to Dianna when Dianna said that we may not have enough police officers, let's say, to patrol the bus stops, etc. And again, many of us see on many instances where children are on the streets, or children are loitering at the bus stops, or children are not going to school when they're supposed to. And unless there is an adult to step in and ask them a question, they would continue to stay there. So I'm in agreement with, especially at the popular bus stops, right? Popular bus stops where police might be passing by, because truancy officers are only stationed within the schools.
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
Well, not even stationed in the school, they're stationed in the ministry.
Oh.
But they would visit the schools from time to time.
Right. So even in that context, have persons, police officers, patrol the bus stops to ensure, ask these children what it is that they're doing there, why it is that they're not going to school, right? Or maybe to put them on the bus and send them to school.
You know, Roleza, I understand your point, and the authority figure of the policeman may be the best person to do it. I would have preferred if a PTA or something like that could really come together in each school. We have 50-something primary schools. We have a number of secondary schools. We have a number of different locations around schools, not just one location. There's several locations around high school, grammar school, or Thomas Saunders. We're talking two slightly different issues. They're related. There's kids being a little lackadaisical, getting home and loitering and so forth, one aspect, and then there's crime. I would love to see the police help us to solve crime and prevent crime. Stopping the loitering may well do that to some degree, and may well get the kids at home back into their communities where there may be less crime, I suppose. But taking the police and pushing them into I think Dianna is right. Maybe the solution is just voting more money to double the police force and so forth, so that we could fight crime more policemen and policemen to patrol the kids. But maybe.
But Doc, you realize that one thing tends to lead into the other, right?
Yes,
if we don't
one thing leads into the other.
Right.
Yes. But maybe as we talk about two issues of parenting, what about the Parent Teachers Association? Can we get them?
But Doc, you realize
they
the
used
parents
to be
are
involved in crossing the road and so forth.
Hold on, Doc. You realize the parents are supposed to go to PTA meetings. Don't go to the ones, right?
Yeah, but we're talking two issues. On one hand, we're talking about putting parents in jail and charging them and so forth on one hand. What about if we could also get the parents, before charging them, to get involved in the whole process?
Yeah, but Doc, you do realize that if you know that you are going to be fined or you're going to be financially penalized, you will take it serious.
Yes. So that's okay. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. But in addition, now we ain't gonna fine them if they're not part of the team that's outside of a school. We can't fine them for that, but we can encourage them to be part of that grouping, that voluntary grouping.
But then that boils down to the same set of parents who did not listen to the first place.
Some of them. Remember I was telling you, there's some kids that are good because their parents are good, and therefore there may be enough parents. Not all parents are bad. There are wonderful parents, who I think can be recruited for those particular type of thing. Because Dianna, I think you're right.
They have, you know what? So yes, I understand what you're saying, and I think that we can explore that option. Maybe we can explore that and see how that goes. But I still prefer the police, because we know that people see the police as a very authoritative.
And
You've
then,
gone back on it. You've gone back on it, but you're still raising about the affordability. But you say
Right. I am still saying yes, I like the idea, but I am also thinking about the fact that would we be able to do it? But I'm not saying I don't like the idea. I do like the idea of the police doing that.
and then I need for us to realize as well too that we're not just saying that this particular measure is what is going to solve everything.
Yeah,
It's us trying multiple things in order to, number one, get the children to be in school when they're supposed to be in school. Have the parents step up in their responsibility if they need to be fined, because in the end, both of these two things combined cause or sometimes lead to persons engaging in criminal activity as an adult. So what we're trying to do is to take measures beforehand to curb the problem. Yes, our current crime situation is not necessarily going to be fixed because of these measures that are being implemented. But if we take them and we start now with the children who are growing up, then maybe we can avoid situations later on in life. Crime is always going to exist.
I totally agree.
Escalating crime is what we're looking at.
Roleza, a ton of suggestions could come up. We've had 4, 5, 6 suggestions that have come up this morning. 4, 5, 6. We've been listing them out. And in terms of the practicality of a lot of them, I think that somebody is going to have to explore them, look at the practicality of them, of these great suggestions, and see which ones are really feasible and implementable in that regard.
Try all. It's not necessarily going to cost extra. Try all.
If what?
If it's
Roleza, I tell you
extra,
something.
try all.
We try all. I think that in terms of the increase in the police force, and that you've advocated more technology, they now have scans for containers and the goods coming in at customs to scan them for guns. Though that's just recently been implemented. It's a very important policy because of the availability of guns in the United States, the easy way to get them down in a barrel, a container, and so forth. So those things have been, that form of technology is good. I support that sort of thing. And try all of them. Every suggestion that come up, somebody's going to have to weed stuff out, because there are even more suggestions than what has come up this morning. And weed them out and come up with what is there. I believe if we're talking about fining parents, disciplining them, imprisoning them at the same time, there are a large body of parents that are faithful to the cause, and they can be deployed.
Yeah, but you see, the minority is where we have the problems in society. The minority
in relation to crime, but in relation to crime, you're not going to take one of those parents and put them to help kids come off of the streets.
But they weren't going to show up anyways, Doc.
Huh?
They weren't going to show up anyways.
That's right. So hear what I'm saying. We focus on the wrong thing. It is the parents who are faithful to the cause. Then there ain't just 2 or 3 of them, and there are thousands of bad ones. Thousands of bad ones and 2 or 3 good. I think that there are many good ones too. I believe so. I believe that, Roleza. Maybe you don't believe that. Maybe you believe they're all bad.
Hold on. Who want to take on the extra responsibility of someone else's child?
But listen, they have been taking on the extra responsibility of life in relation to their own child. But we're talking about about other kids who are their friends, who they're going to interact with, who are going to be on Facebook with them, who's going to be on internet with them, and all that sort of thing, and spreading all social media. Yes, but I think they're very keen on that. Many of them are keen on that. But how many do you need? What you're telling me is that the amount of policemen we're going to need versus the amount of parents we need is a big difference. You know, how much policemen we need? We need 50-something.
Well, note that I did not necessarily say to increase the police force. What I'm saying is that they can have patrols.
Wait. Patrols, I agree with you, they could do that. But what I'm saying is that the fight against crime and the technology may well need them in some other places where
But
real
their only job
solid
is
crime
not
is.
just to fight crime. Their job is, as far as I understand wrong, the job of the police is not just to fight crime.
So I'm
No, how could a job of the policeman be only to find crime? But that's where the program, that's where we've been focusing on. There has been a deficit.
They should be in the office solving crime or out in the field solving crime, not looking to make sure that these children are safe.
Well, maybe the policemen just maybe need to work a little harder and do more and so forth. The parents absolved and so. And then go to arrest the parent.
That's how the legal thing
That's
comes.
part of their job. Go and arrest the parent.
You see, my whole thing, Doc, is that the village no longer exists, or the village is not as strong as
it doesn't. The village does still exist. Don't give up.
Doc, you're very optimistic.
Don't give up.
You're being realistic.
Churches exist. There's solid churches. There's solid community. I don't believe that the village no longer exists.
Generally speaking,
the village no longer exists in the way it used to before. So this is why
it may be the case that you can't see a child doing something and slap the child and beat the child and send the child home. That may not exist anymore. I agree that you may not be able to see a child doing something and then punish the child or so whatever. But I think that there's still elements of it, and I don't think we should give up on that. I don't think the village doesn't totally exist anymore.
But I'm not saying the village doesn't totally exist. It's not in the strength that it used to be before, which is why you have some children and even parents. When some persons become parents at a young age, they themselves are not well equipped to be able to take care of their children. Which is why before persons used to lean on their grandparents or their brothers or their sisters to help them out. Some of these persons, grandparents young, parents
really,
young.
What I'm hearing you're saying, what I'm hearing you say, give up on the village, give up totally on the village because it's no longer what it may have been before. How do you strengthen the village? How do you bump up the village? How do you really get some of those things, even though it's not going to get back to 100%?
This is their responsibility, and some persons don't see it as their responsibility. Some grandparents don't think that their grandchildren is their responsibility, and correctly so. So when you have parents who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, you have to have other measures in place to be able to take over, which goes back to the same conversation we had last Monday. But anyhow, we're going to have to leave this here, Doc. As it's 9:02, and I'm sure we're going to pick this up at another occasion when something else arises, all right? But coming out of this discussion, it was just other avenues or other things that can be explored to help with delinquent children, especially when you have parents who are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, right? So it's just some suggestions that were put out there. And let's see what happens, all right? To safeguard our children of the future, or our adults of the future. Okay. All right. So we are going to jump out at this time. Time here in SVG, it is 9:03, and we are going to bring to you today's ECCB currency exchange rate.